So when we have what I call a cosmic party, this is when very spiritually natured outer planets. Now, these are Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and they're referred to as the transpersonal planets. Um, when a party happens, they're going to interact with some of, like, say, the social planets, like Jupiter, who's very reward oriented, or hyper responsible Saturn. Okay. They will have an interaction with one another. So when this happens, change is on the horizon. And there's a cosmic joke in the astrological circles shared about the outer planets. So would you like to hear the outer planets laugh? Just tell them your plans. Plans go awry all the time. So we cannot guarantee that when we start getting into these deeper connections that we're going to be, uh, you know, staying at that social or the more ego level of the personal planets. When we go deep, we go deep. Okay, we finally get to the star of the show, and it's Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Taurus. And it truly is. It's on April 20th. It's going to be one of the most exciting conjunctions of the year, and maybe even beyond this year. It happens at 10:27 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and 2:27 a.m. GMT on April 21st. But most people are feeling this conjunction already because we started feeling the effects of it in March. In fact, all of these things that have been going on started in March, especially since the lunar eclipse was at the end of March too. But the whole astrological community is all abuzz about this, because Jupiter, the social planet, is expansion oriented, and then it's going to conjunct and merge with the freedom-loving outer planet Uranus. So that's huge. So that's a whole lot of loving going on.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the social planet Jupiter, what it feels like first. So it is a planet of expansion, growth, magnification, opportunity, optimism, vision, and loves to connect the dots to see the whole big picture. And Uranus is considered the awakener, and it's the planet of change, freedom, quantum leaps, revolution, evolution, and loves to go beyond the conventional and explore what is new, unique, and different. So what do these two planets' personalities have in common? Well, first off, the fact that they are both in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus loves to place value on what it experiences. And Jupiter and Uranus both desire progress. So valuing our progress. How are we moving forward? And are we valuing our move forward? Is kind of how I would interpret that. Could be like a lightning bolt striking and setting fire to what is antiquated, stifling, things that slow progress, ultimately releasing what's not for the highest good of all, exclamation point, all with a capital A. I've received, like this vision came to me actually when I was writing this article, of a red cape, draped, and it's there to tantalize the Taurus bull into a sudden charge forward, like a full steam of head type of energy. And so many people kind of are going with like, well, we're going to go in so much to technologies and a cashless society and fearing a loss of humanitarianism. And I feel that's a very, to be honest, left brain view. And being a very right brain person, I feel very differently about it. My guidance coming in is more that Taurus, first off, is ruled by Venus. And Venus is the planet of love, and may say that this lifeless, heartless machinery is not true progress. So think about that. If you saw the movies Matrix, many have seen it many years ago. Well, my husband, who happens to be a Taurus sun sign, he decided to start watching them again. And we watched the last one. And I don't want to totally ruin it for everybody, but most people have seen it. But in essence, that was the message at the end of the movie, exactly what I just said. So that's something to think about. Maybe even rewatch that all three movies, but that last one is exactly that.
I'll have to
Um,
rewatch it.
so
I've only watched, I think, the
yes. Yeah.
first two. I don't think I've seen the third one actually.
Oh
I'll have
my
to
goodness.
watch.
Well, I don't want to totally
Yeah.
just
Oh, it's okay.
just know
I get the
that
gist of
statement,
it.
I'll
Yeah.
say it again, that yeah, that lifeless, heartless machinery is not true progress. What if the fact that Jupiter and Uranus being in the sign of earthy Taurus brings our attention individually and collectively back to the ancient earth wisdom teachings? Can we manifest the ability to see new possibilities, new frontiers in a completely new way by tapping into more of our spiritual nature? And understanding how our earthly biological nature is truly linked to expanding our awareness through spiritual sciences of the merging of mind heart coherence and matter, for example. So, what would that be? What's an example? Would be telepathy, cellular memory, and ultimately unity consciousness. Another movie comes to mind, Avatar, unity consciousness that was shown in Avatar.
Yeah, one of my
Why can't we
favorites.
have
Yeah.
that? Why not?
Mm.
Why do we have to limit ourselves to thinking it has to be machinery, that it has to be this computer box that we're using right now that has been, it's our first chakra completely shot outside of ourselves. And we live our lives in these boxes now. I grew up in a time where we were outside playing and in the trees, and I had a tree house. I loved it. It's why not go back to some of those earthly connected type energies, but then take that technology and bring it in somehow to that. I think of Frank Lloyd Wright and the beautiful homes that he built with nature coming right through it. I mean, I see that type of stuff in the future. That we live so connected to nature in a way that we don't now. We really don't. Everything is, we have things are, dead. It's like I would love to see life all around us, a biological based universe that's technologically advanced.
As somebody
Yeah.
who does love nature too, it's like I would love to see how that can work
Well, we
and
have
not
that
be stuck.
technology. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Hmm.
have that technology right now. I was waiting for years for a
Solar technology.
biological, yeah, but I wanted a biological implant for my hip replacement. I know it's there. It's just not available yet,
Hmm.
but the technology's there. But as long as you know, people who run the machinery end of it and robotics end of it and their metal implants and all this stuff, this blocks us from really moving forward. So maybe this Jupiter conjunct Uranus is to explode this stuff out of the way. That would be awesome. So we
Hmm.
could have true movement forward. Okay. I ask a lot of questions myself of my teachers. When I was in school, I was always the one that would ask the question that everybody was afraid to ask. And then the teacher would always compliment me afterwards, like, you're brave to ask that question. Well, hey, I want to learn. Adri mentioned back at the beginning about checking to see if you have a natal aspect to Jupiter and Taurus. So the
Hmm.
conjunction, if you have that, um, and I happen to have a client that does have that and excited to talk with him about it Sunday. It's very, very auspicious, very wonderful connection to be going through that right now. So I personally have a sextile with Jupiter and Uranus. So this will be very powerful in my life as well.
If you have something 21
Mm,
degrees or near 21 degrees too. And that can kind of give you an idea of where it'll be impacting you as well.
yes. And you or I could help people find that. We could do,
Yes.
little short reports for people.
Hmm.
But here's what this could bring. So what does this mean? I'm yakking about it. This could bring more of an optimistic outlook in your life, more fervent faith, and deeper spiritual connection to what's for the highest good. Um, there's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty powerful. That's life-changing energies. So here's the questions. Um, so especially for conjunctions, um, a person that has a conjunction will usually have a very independent streak, maybe even be considered a trailblazer. Uh, the person could, I like this kind of idea of landing on your feet like a cat. So no matter how high you jump, you land on your feet, because this person is a risk taker, not afraid to try something different. Also, the person that has this would have the ability to think about the big picture instead of being the little mouse, just like zeroing in on the little crumbs of the details. Be more like the eagle flying up and over and seeing everything, the whole picture idea. Also, I feel people that have this conjunction or some of the other aspects as well could feel very drawn to metaphysical and mystical things. But this is my favorite one that actually my guides gave me this one. Can you go down in a mud puddle and then rise up like a beautiful lotus with a strong root in the earth? And I feel that really describes what we're going to be going through and what we are going through. So I'll say it again. Can you go down in a mud puddle, then rise up like a beautiful lotus with a strong root in the earth? Marching to your own drum kind of idea too. Ability to rewrite the rules. This is also a very entrepreneurship type of energy. You and I are both blessed with that, with our Capricorns and Cancer rising, Capricorn suns. We have that ability
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it looks really good for us Capricorns and
Yeah.
Virgos too. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. And I got a Virgo moon, so I've got it all going. So I've explained the conjunct pretty well, but the sextile that like I have, um, people that have this, and I just was able to just write about myself because this is me. I see a spiritual connection to absolutely every experience. I can't unsee it. Everything is meaningful to me. Everything. This moment sharing with you has so many levels of meaning, and sharing with others that will watch this. So that is just my day-to-day life, moment-to-moment life. Um, I feel even in crisis times, um, I always somehow look for, well, what can I learn from this? How can we grow? How can we expand? That's very much Jupiter sextile Uranus. Um, ability to blast through obstacles, just not allowing them to be there. That's it. It's like, you know, prayer, faith, those are obstacle busters right there, surrendering to a higher power. If it has a square, you still could have great confidence, but watch to take care about not overestimating that, not being a little bit too uh, cocky, so to speak, of thinking your abilities are, more important than, say, having a stable relationship. So a lot of people could, during this time, and we talked about this earlier, just with all the other things going on, be careful to not make major decisions right now when you could have your wounds right up to the surface. And so that square is a challenge. So Jupiter square Uranus would mean that person's going to have to be careful of their decisions. And doesn't mean you can't make a decision, but to be in care of it, to really look at it. Same thing with an opposition, very similar energy. And watching to not alienate others. We could push others away. And these could be people who could be powerful allies in our lives. So keeping that in mind. And then the final aspect is a trine, which is very similar to a sextile. It's ability to attract lucky breaks, attracting wealth and abundance, kind of that making sweet lemonade out of sour lemons kind of energy. That's how I would describe it. So that's just kind of taking everybody through their aspects. So if you can find out and go online, find out if you have any of these aspects between Jupiter and Uranus, or if you, like I said, want Adri or myself to help you with that.
I picked up on something there with maybe some, unusual things that are kind of out of the ordinary, maybe even paranormal
Mhm.
things showing up during
Yeah.
this time, or more during this time than
Yeah.
normal. It's definitely a time where, like you mentioned, I believe with the trine aspect, um, I think a lot of people are going to be experiencing some growth in their businesses, and bringing new ideas to life in a
Yeah.
practical way with that Taurus energy. It's all about practicality. How can I practically make this happen? How can I practically um, get this goal achieved? It's setting those little steps. So maybe you're even setting goals to make that happen. So I do see a lot of, business and financial growth here with things like that.
So I feel the house is super important for people to look at their natal
Yes.
house.
Yes, definitely. Again, kind of like I was saying with that Taurus and Venus, be mindful of overindulgence, spendings, and things like that. Just be a little bit more mindful about that. Um, but yeah, I was going to say too, especially it's kind of funny with this springtime energy. If you've had ideas that you've been trying to get going, you've been working on, and you've planted that seed, now you're
Yeah.
suddenly going to see this explosion. This garden is just going to
Yes.
bloom, so to speak, suddenly
Yeah.
flourishing out of nowhere. So, where you have been basically watering your garden, to go with that spring
Mhm.
analogy, I really feel like that is just going to blast off during this time. So, wherever you guys have
Yeah.
been really putting your focus on,
Once,
you're going to get the
once we're out
rewards from it. Yeah.
Once we're out of Mercury retrograde, though,
Yes.
because
After.
we
Yes.
still will be in the shadow period until May 13th.
Yeah.
So I say, you can kind of hang in there.
Mm-hmm.
Post shadow ends, then
Mm-hmm.
then what we've been working on and fertilizing and watering, as you said, I love that analogy. It will start really seeding and
Mm-hmm.
sprouting and blooming and blossoming.
Manifestations, blessings coming in. But with that being
Mhm.
said, work will still need to be done, but progress will be paid off. And I feel like it's going to be paid off a lot sooner or more rapidly. So yeah, expect
Yeah.
some good things. Yeah. What's the expression? April showers bring May flowers. So there you go.
Yes.
To add to, this type of conjunction only really happens every 14 years. And the last time it was in
Yes.
2011. So if you want to think about what was going
Yeah.
on in
Yes.
2011, and do you see the progress you've made now from
Yes.
2011 to now? So
Yes.
something else to think about
Yeah.
with that.
We had that November
Mm-hmm.
11th, 2011. The harmonic
Mm,
convergence was very powerful. We did a Reiki seminar on that day. It was amazingly powerful. It was incredible. In fact, and the amount of orbs that showed up in our pictures, I have whole album of angel, I call them angel light beings from that day. Pictures that are mind blowing.
I think a lot of us spiritual awakenings were happening. I was only um, a teenager, right? Yeah, I was only a teenager
Yeah,
during that time. So I know I
yeah.
was starting to have more spiritual awakenings, like little things happening during that time. So um,
And then
yeah,
Jupiter and Uranus, for sure. That's
yeah. Oh,
Uranus is
definitely.
the way,
That
and
was
and
really,
Jupiter is spiritual
hmm,
and making it bigger. So
yeah,
it's exciting times. It's
yeah,
very much so.
yeah, good stuff. Yeah.